So I'd like to invite to the stage Billie Gordon from the Office of the Great Barrier Reef, and Billie is presenting on social science theory meets local champion.
Be able to hear me if I don't bring it down a little bit. Thank you. Lovely, thanks. Hi everyone, my name is Billie Gordon. I'm from the Office of the Great Barrier Reef. I'd like to start today by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land that we're meeting on today and pay my respects to their elders, both present, past and emerging. Now I want to talk to you today about a dilemma we faced in 2016. So for those not familiar with the nitrogen reduction space that we're working in, one of the key ways reef programs are working to reduce nutrient runoff is by reducing nitrogen in cane farming. So at the end of 2016, we were at finishing up a project called RP20, and the project proved that the industry standard of nitrogen application, the 6 easy steps method, was the most profitable way for farmers to operate, and it also reduced nitrogen going to the reef. Now, even though we saw the good results from the replicated trials and the associated robust economic evaluations from each farm, and we knew no farmer was going to lose any money, in fact they were making money with this, with this method, we still knew that many of them didn't accept these findings. We knew that they wanted to be convinced that this could work on their farm, and you'll hear this often. I wanted seeing working on my farm because my farm is different, before they would apply it more broadly. We also knew that using less fertiliser wasn't in the best interest of some parts of the supply chain. So we knew that we had pressures and pushback from multiple fronts. So back to our dilemma. Do we just go out and promote the good outcomes and just hope that farmers will just change their application rates? Could the group norms or social diffusion perhaps play a part through the farmers that were involved in the trials? Or maybe we just create another project and build on that. So we knew that information provision wasn't the way to achieve a behaviour change in this space. We also suspected that the 25 farmers that were involved in one project couldn't create the groundswell required to change group norms and even allow social diffusion to play out. So we chose to create a new project called RP161, the Nutrient Management Planning Project. We decided to test out the community-based social marketing methodology, but build in enough flexibility in our approach so that the local knowledge could influence the project design and delivery. People you see on this slide were instrumental local leaders in bringing this project to life on ground. So the guy on the right is David Di Francesi. He's a local farmer champion who to this day is involved in the project. He's a liaison between the government, farmers and the project. He is the voice of the growers. The guy in the red shirt is Jason Dowie. He works for Pharmacist. He's a highly skilled and knowledgeable Burdekin-based agronomist who helped refine our approach and created the product that farmers today receive still as part of our RP161 project. So what has the project achieved in the last 5 years? Well, since the humble beginnings, the project, now it's in its 6th year, has been delivered across 4 reef regions and supported both by the Queensland and the Australian government investment. It has engaged over 620 growers across more than 70,000 hectares. Now that's equivalent to 130,000 football fields, equivalent to 13.5 magnetic islands, or the size of Singapore as a country. In terms of reductions, the project achieved an estimated 800 tonne nitrogen reduction, which is equivalent to 45 buses less of nitrogen going to the reef every single year since. It stands as the most cost-effective nitrogen project delivered so far by the Queensland Reef Water Quality Program, at $7 of investment for every kilogram of nitrogen spent or saved. It is a wonderful display of social science interaction with on-ground knowledge and leadership. So how did that all happen? Well, a crucial part of the project design were the steps undertaken in community-based social marketing methodology. For those of you who are familiar with this methodology, it was pioneered by Doug Mackenzie-Moore from Canada. You will know that the steps that are outlined here are highly scripted and they're designed to maximise environmental outcomes in the most cost-effective way. We shortlisted several practices to test and then undertook market research to understand grower barriers and motivations, which then informed the project strategy. The practice that came on top through research as most likely to be taken up by farmers was reducing nitrogen rates to meet the 6 easy steps nutrient standard while ensuring grower profitability. Now, this was exactly the outcome that RP20, the previous project, had actually proven. So we're quite lucky like that. Through this process, though, even though we followed all the steps, the things that really came out on top for us were what we needed to make sure that our key success factors built into the project were we needed highly skilled agronomists working one-on-one with growers to overcome their particular issues. This played particularly to the trust that the grower had to have with the person that was working with them. We needed to allow substantial engagement on farm. It wasn't about just giving them a plan and letting them go ahead with it. They needed hand-holding the whole way. They needed to create a tailored plan as a premium product, one growers couldn't receive free from usual providers like productivity services. We incorporated calibrating fertiliser boxes to ensure that the right amount of product is delivered on farm. Capacity building component for growers so they could understand the 6 easy steps methodology was another really important part of this process. This comes to building of knowledge. Grower co-contribution to the project of $500 was something that we introduced as well, which had the purpose of ensuring grower buy-in. So the pilot project was delivered in the Burdekin initially for only 2 years and then extended on through Mackay with Sundays, Wet Tropics and the Bernat Mary. So for this project, the social science theory through the CBSM approach was a crucial element in finding the right practices to focus on and ensuring we could address the barriers that growers had through sound project design. But it doesn't stop there. The local context through Dave and the pharmacist team and Jason was really what allowed this project to achieve the good outcomes that it has. It allowed for the local buy-in and really making sense of that science. It turned a scientific concept designed in an office into a highly practical and grower-friendly product that continues to provide valuable support to cane farmers to this day. As a result of the project, David Di Francesi received the Nutrient Champion Award in 2018, and Jason Dowie received the Reef Extension Officer Champion Award in 2019. I hope that gives you a bit of a flavour for what we've been able to achieve by bringing robust social science together with valuable on-ground knowledge and expertise. Thank you. I'll take any questions you have.
Hello, my name's Chelsea. I'm the communication manager at Gurumpa, and we're actually using that exact methodology at the moment in our recreational fishing space. So I'm really keen to if you could maybe go into a little bit more detail about the strategies you use with CBSM.
Okay, so what we did was we first shortlisted the behaviours that we were going to try and test out in the marketplace, and that started fairly broad because obviously you can do lots of things. What we did really, what helped us was that we have a paddock to reef water quality risk framework, which helps us narrow down the practices that reduce environmental impact essentially. So those that have a high risk impact, we had on our list. And then what we did was we actually went out to the farmers to understand what was likely to be taken up, what was already taken up, so we need to understand market penetration, what was likely to be taken up, and we also had interviews with industry experts to get their, input as well into the same types of questions. And then it all ends up in this little matrix that if you've seen the CBSM book, you know what I'm talking about. And then we lined up all the little scores. And what's kind of really good about it is while it is social science and it's largely qualitative, when it comes down to that point, it becomes really quantitative, which helped us really make a decision. And then what we built on from that was the interviews that we had with farmers. A lot of it that came out was needing to have the trust between them and the person that was delivering the project. So this is where the strategy of having an agronomist work with a farmer rather than an extension officer work with a farmer to achieve that change. We needed to make sure that that farmer had all the expertise at their disposal while they were making a change on ground. Reducing nitrogen is not the only issue here. Often farmers over-apply nutrients or nitrogen because there are other factors that are associated with low production on their farm, and they don't always know what they are. So by applying more nitrogen, you still get some of the good results. So what the agronomists are then able to do is understand what's going on. So this is where that expertise really came in. But then we also used things like, having stickers on their calibration boxes as reminders for them. Every time they came around to refertilising, they could remember what their rates were and what they needed to do. So there were multiple strategies like that I'm happy to go into more detail. If you like, we can have a chat afterwards.
Yeah, sure. Just quickly though, how did you actually, so with the communication strategies, how did you sort of reinforce that positive behaviour? Was there any specific communication, like was there signage, or how did you sort of, I guess, between the farmers themselves?
The farmers themselves had actually a lot of, we can take it offline if you like, but lots of group work. Happy to talk to you afterwards. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Billie.